So the Portland Trailblazers took care of business in Game 7 in Denver, and they're advancing to the Western Conference Finals. After losing Game 5 and getting blown out, it seemed like an impossible task, and somehow we managed to win Game 6 and 7 and pull out this series and advance to the Western Conference Finals. In the preview for this Game 7, I said either I was going to keep doing what I'm doing because we'd be advancing, or I'd have to transition into off-season content. But we keep the ball rolling here at True Blazer Fan, so let's jump straight into this Game 7 recap. This game, however, started off in probably the worst way possible for the Portland Trailblazers. Their defense in the first quarter was not good. Gary Harris getting right to the rim, silly foul, that's a three-point play to start it off. And then this was a beautiful move by CJ, and it was just a sign of things to come. That's the second time in the series he's gotten Denver with that beautiful step-through move. For some reason, Portland kind of went away from double-teaming Jokic in the low post, and he had easy work here against Cantor. Cantor would get him back with a mid-range jumper, but the story was the defensive end. You cannot give up that jumper to Jokic. You have to get in his body and contest it a lot better than that. But CJ, master of the mid-range. That little sidestep, long two, very nice shot. Thankfully, he was hitting because nobody else was. And then Jokic was hitting early. That's 2 threes in the first 4 minutes. Blazers offense was definitely struggling, and the Nuggets were taking advantage. Here, Gary Harris goes straight downhill in transition. That's terrible defense. You have to have somebody pick up the ball, and for some reason, the Portland Trailblazers have struggled mightily with this in that second round. This was Al-Farouq Aminu's only bucket of the game. Again, he's been struggling this postseason, and he didn't do any better in Game 7. And then Gary Harris, inspired by CJ McCollum, using his pivot to open up a shot inside. At this point, Denver's up 9, and again in transition, just going straight downhill and attacking the defense. All of a sudden, Denver's up 9. CJ, another mid-range jump shot. He's trying his best on offense to keep us in this game, but when you give Denver some confidence, they get on a roll. Here, Paul Millsap hits the step-back jumper, and they just can't be stopped. Zach Collins misses the 3, and Enes Kanter still battling inside. He gets the layup, but again, Paul Millsap with a very good move. I'm not even going to fault Zach Collins for this defense here. That's just great footwork and a great move by Paul Millsap. Just like Game 6, CJ was attacking the rim very, very well, getting downhill. So was Jamal Murray though. Here, he almost loses the ball and still manages to finish inside. At this point, Denver's up 12. Seth Curry with the silly foul. Jamal Murray gets up in his face for absolutely no reason, and this dude is kind of seeming arrogant to me right now. Honestly, the Nuggets seemed kind of petty all series long, and that's just another example of it. And then this is absolutely masterful by CJ McCollum. The behind the back spin move through the trap and the left-handed pass to Collins, that might have been the most impressive creation for a teammate that CJ has had all season long, maybe even in his career. That was such a skilled drive and pass, and he was really doing his best to keep us in touch. But here you have Mason Plumlee almost losing the ball, getting it back. Evan Turner with a silly foul from behind when he pushes him in the back. Plumlee ends up knocking down the free throw, and with his busted free throw form, he actually shot pretty well from the charity stripe in the series. So at this point, Denver is up by 16 points. CJ is able to get the Blazers' first 3 of the game to go. I believe the Blazers started 0 for 10. They just couldn't hit a single thing. They had 22 points with 8 minutes left in the second quarter. That's bad. And their defense really wasn't doing them any favors. Here, Will Barton gets the easy floater to go. And then after Dame just falls on his own and passes it straight to Denver, they're able to run the other way and get a good bucket by Monte Morris. And at this point, Portland calls timeout with Denver up by 17 points. Now, I just wanted this to be competitive. It was weird because I was really nervous but excited, a little bit stressed out before the game, and that just evaporated over the course of like 30 minutes, over the course of the first quarter and a half. At this point, I laid down on my couch, face down, thinking, okay, this is how it's gonna go. One game away from the Western Conference Finals, and we're going to get absolutely blown out. This looked exactly like Game 5 and looked exactly like the start of Game 6. I just figured, how are we going to pull this out in Denver? But that's when everything changed. This play is a perfect example of CJ's game. Normally on this type of crossover, if he's able to get that much space, CJ pulls the 3, but instead, he's in full-out attack mode. He hesitates and is able to get downhill to his floater, and that's a much better shot than that 3-point shot would have been. With with the rest of the Blazers kind of settling, CJ was not. Here again, using the screen, splitting off the pick and roll, and with a very good finish inside. At this point, Dame didn't even have a bucket yet, and that's part of the reason Portland was struggling. But here he gets a very nice behind the back dribble and a pull-up jump shot. That was a very tough shot, but there was 6 on the clock. He had to shoot it, and he knocked it down. So Portland has been able to cut the lead in half from 17 down to 8. Portland's defense had picked up some intensity, and it was playing a lot better. Here, Kanter actually plays very solid D against Jokic until he steps up way too far and lets Jokic just step straight towards the rim and get that floater. In that situation, Kanter just needed to stay solid, stay in front of Jokic, and the Blazers would have been fine, but he made a mistake. And then Jokic has been getting this floater off the pick and roll all series long. It seemed like they should have been getting to that more because the Blazers were pretty much giving that up every pick and roll. Here, they actually take it away as Damian Lillard rotates fully into the paint underneath Jokic. Good job by Dame. You don't want Jokic getting that floater again. But Murray is still attacking a retreating Kanter, so he's able to get a floater to go for himself. This pick and roll scheme just gave up floaters to Murray and Jokic all series long, and it wasn't exactly successful. So Portland's down 13 again, and with 2 minutes left, Terry Stotts goes with an Enes Kanter and Myers Leonard frontcourt to match up against a Mason Plumlee Nikola Jokic frontcourt. That is basically 4 centers on the court at one time. So of course Kanter has to go old school. He destroys and dislodges Jokic with this spin move. Jokic probably flopped. You wanted the call, you didn't get it. This time they have Murray on Kanter, so Rodney throws it in. They have to double. That leaves Hood open out of this double. Murray closes out hard, and Hood does what he's been doing all series long. He attacks the closeout very well, gets a floater in the lane. But this was probably Rodney Hood's worst game of the series. He did not have a double-digit scoring effort like he's had pretty much all series. And then of course you had the injury later that I'll talk about. So at this point, Portland is down 9 heading into halftime. While it's definitely not an ideal position, it's much better than the blowout that seemed to have been coming their way when Denver got up by 17. All you need is a good half of basketball and Portland can win this game. Here you have Jokic finally missing one of those floaters. It seems like it was automatic for him, but defensive rebounding a problem for Portland, letting him get his own miss. Dame was cold all night, but Kanter was definitely helping him out on the offensive boards, getting some putbacks, which is what he does best. Here is really the first play where Portland was able to get out in transition and get an easy bucket due to it. Part of the reason was Murray was in position, but decides to gamble and loses, so Rodney Hood was able to get to the rim for a lay-in. But Portland got stuck at this wall where they would be down 7, then the lead for Denver would grow a little bit, Portland would get back to being down 7. Sometimes in games, there just seems to be an invisible wall where you cut the lead to like 7 or 8 points and you just can't get past that. You can't get it down to 6. That's how I felt in this game. Here you have Jokic easily setting up for a jumper to put them back up 9. Again, Kanter has to do a better job of contesting shots like that, but luckily we don't have to worry about that anymore. Again, CJ attacking the rim well, leaves his man Gary Harris in the dust and scores underneath the rim, but that means CJ isn't there to pick up Gary Harris, and at this point, he's across the court after scoring, so he's pointing, probably yelling, somebody needs to pick up his man. At this point, Zach needs to pick up ball at the 3-point line and force Gary Harris to the middle of the court where Damian Lillard can help him, where he has teammates trailing the play. And Harris doesn't have to go to the middle of the court until he just finishes laying. Again, Denver answering every Portland run, and Portland can't get that lead down to 6. Now you know it's CJ McCollum's night where he loses the ball and it actually helps him get off a good shot. Here he follows his fumble to the corner, knocks down yet another mid-range jumper, but Denver scores again, up 9 again. As I said, there was that invisible wall. And then all of a sudden, CJ McCollum powers up athletically. Like, this dude became supercharged athletically. He split this trap so fast. It was one of the quickest moves I've ever seen him make, and then the way he flew to the rim. That was one of CJ's most athletic plays of his entire career. That was impressive. So Portland down 7 again, and you know how this goes. Gary Harris had a very solid game, finishing the floater inside. Denver back up by 9. Again, more CJ McCollum with an absolutely beautiful up and under scoop layup. But this time, Portland would finally be able to cut the lead to 5 when Kanter finishes off the Dame feed inside. And at this point, it's a 2-possession game, and Portland definitely feels like they have a legit chance to pull this out now. Dame still making the right passes, and Kanter knocks down a mid-range jumper and it's a one-possession game, Portland only down by 3. So when Portland has all the momentum, it gets absolutely killed with a tragic play. There's multiple reasons why this play is tragic. One, you have Rodney Hood going down with a knee injury, hyperextended. He can't even defend or stay upright. 2, the Denver Nuggets are able to score off of it inside. And 3, this was Zach Collins' 5th foul. So you go from making a run, getting the lead down to 3, and then losing one of your key players who's been huge all series long, losing another one of your key players to a 5th foul, and Denver gets a 3-point play. I don't think Rodney Hood will play in game 1. I'm hoping he can play in game 2 because he's definitely somebody that we need on the court for us. So at this point, Denver back up by 6, and then Nikola Jokic one-on-one with Kanter, and the Blazers don't really help at all. This is pretty weak defense by Kanter, but it was weird how the 4 other Blazer defenders really weren't helping him out much. So at this point, the lead is back up to 8. Portland's run is squashed and their momentum killed, but Evan Turner? Is that an Evan Turner sighting? He knocks down the mid-range jumper. That just means you have to worry a little bit on the other end. He's guarding Millsap, but Millsap, for some reason, misses this layup. He's hit some tough layups all series long, and somehow he misses that one. Dame's able to bust out of the pack, and Maurice Harkless gets a fast break finish. Portland cut that 8-point lead back in half, and they're playing much better basketball than they were in the first half. And then here you have a very weird play. Gary Harris basically hooked Myers Leonard's leg with his own and finished a very tough lay-in. He would miss his and one free throw, but that defensive rebounding from Portland, really struggling. Second chance points. Here we go with Denver and Jamal Murray driving the lane for a left-handed jam. So you got to get it back on the other end. Here you have Myers Leonard in the game shooting the floater. He misses, but Maurice Harkless finally showing up to this series. He gets the putback jam. And then he misses his free throw, but the Blazers get it back. And the Blazers get a 4-point possession on their own, with Maurice Harkless finishing a very tough left-handed hook. He feels like he was fouled. Maybe it should have been a 5-point play. But this is the point in the game where Portland really seized momentum. The 4-point play, and then Myers Leonard dropping the hammer on Mason Plumlee and Nikola Jokic. So Portland cuts the lead to 1, and then this was much better defense than we had earlier in the game. Now, I don't know who got this block, Myers or Mo, but Mo did a very good job trailing his man getting back in the play, and Myers did a very good job rotating to help. They stifled Denver, and at this point, Portland has a chance to actually get the lead, and that's exactly what they do with a very nice spin move by CJ and the floater inside. This dude was pulling out all his tricks, and at this point, I was shocked. Portland had taken the lead. As I said earlier, I had a bunch of stress and nerves before the game, and that got pretty much extinguished when the Denver Nuggets got up by 17. And it was crazy for that feeling to build back into an insane amount of nervous excitement, the most nervous I've ever been watching a Blazer game. Denver was able to score on the last possession of the third quarter, but Portland would get it right back with Zach Collins showing up and knocking down a 3. Here Collins gets the block, but it goes right back to Will Barton. That's just an unlucky break. That was great defense by Zach. He had, I believe, 4 blocks in this game. It was huge once again on the defensive end. Here he makes the really nice pass to a wide open Turner underneath. That probably should have been an and one, but Portland is back up by 2, and it seems like they have a little bit of control on this game. It just seemed like if they were able to clean up the silly mistakes like this, they'd be able to pull it out. With 2 on the shot clock, Denver really only has time for a catch and shoot. You probably want your big man and Collins underneath to contest a layup, and CJ McCollum on Jokic on the perimeter isn't a problem because Jokic can't really go anywhere to take advantage of it. Because of that, CJ thinks Collins is going to zone up underneath, so he switches the screen, stays with Jokic. Collins just follows Jokic and leaves a Barton right there, and that was just a lack of communication by Portland. CJ and Zach should have communicated before the play whether or not they were going to zone up or try and stay home on their man, and then CJ needed to yell switch. Who knows if Collins heard him. On this play, Curry gets fouled by Nikola Jokic, who not only jumps into his landing space, but also hits him on the wrist. But as the great Sheed would always say, ball don't lie, and Dame gets that 3-point shot to go for himself, and he knocks down his first 3 of the game, and it was only his second bucket, but Portland's up by 5 despite that. Here Collins plays very solid defense, holds his ground very well, makes this a tough shot for Jokic, but once again, it goes right back to Jokic, who gets an and one when Dame fouls him. So at this point, Portland's up 2. Seth Curry really struggled in this game from 3, but Evan Turner with some great hustle chases down, somehow manages to save this up top, and the Blazers will benefit from this when CJ drives the lane and gets a lay-in. That was great hustle from Turner, and this quarter was his best quarter of the 2019 postseason. And then with no play developing and the shot clock to single digits, Evan Turner has a great drive where he pump fakes Millsap and scoops a shot to the inside of him and gets the and one to go. But Dame struggled all night. Here he gets blocked. Jamal Murray on the run out. But hold up. Remember earlier when I said that CJ McCollum powered up athletically? He unlocked a whole nother level of athleticism? Well, here he turns into LeBron in Game 7 of the 2016 Finals with that block on Andre Iguodala, and CJ McCollum gets probably the first chase down block of his career. This dude was doing it all for the Blazers, and that was an amazing defensive play. Portland also gets bailed out when Torrey Craig shoots a contested 3 with 18 on the shot clock. He barely grazes the rim, and CJ saved Denver from scoring 2 points. So now Portland's up 4. You really want a bucket to put it to 6, or maybe make it a 3-possession game at 7. Here, Evan Turner probably gets fouled, Jokic gets the rebound, and Dame, who knows Jokic has been throwing these long outlet passes all series long, stays back and is able to pick it off. With 3.5 minutes left, Denver would have had a chance to cut the lead down to 1 or 2. Instead, Dame gets that steal, attacks the rim, realizes he doesn't have a shot, kicks it back out to Turner, and immediately sprints out to the 3-point line. Great relocation, and he knocks down the 3 after struggling all game. Instead of the lead possibly being only 1 or 2, the lead is 7 with 3 minutes left, and that was the biggest play of the entire game. You know, even when Dame's struggling, he can pop out of it at any second and make huge plays like this. Denver cuts the lead back down to 5, and CJ starts going right back to his mid-range jumper, his bread and butter. Here he has one go in and out, and Jokic this time actually hits the long outlet pass, and Denver is able to cut it back down to 3. So now Dame's trying to make a play. He attacks the rim with really no plan. He could have shot this floater from 15 feet. Instead, he goes one dribble too deep at Millsap and gets stifled at the rim. Again, with Denver down, they're really looking to push the pace at this point, and Cantor ends up having a very poor closeout on Jokic. I like that he took away the 3, but he has to chop his feet and try and stay in front. Jokic cuts the lead down to 1, and this is anybody's game at this point. Now just imagine if Dame didn't get that steal and Denver cut the lead to 1 or 2 points. At this point, they would have been up 5 with a minute and a half left. Portland probably loses this game. With CJ's success at this point in the game, I don't mind in the last minute just keeping it simple, no risk of a turnover, wind some clock down, as he was able to consistently get to his mid-range shot, which is a great shot for him, and it was falling. Here he puts Portland back up by 3, and CJ has control over this game. Now this wasn't a great shot by CJ. Here he pulls up from 3, still had 8 seconds on the shot clock. I think he thought he was going to get fouled, but he ends up giving Denver the ball back. At this point, Denver probably wants a 2-for-1. You want to get a bucket before the 24-second shot clock is turned off, and Jamal Murray does just that. He does what CJ's been doing all game, dribbles around up top until he's able to drive inside and get a mid-range jumper to fall, and Denver is within 1. If Portland fails to get a bucket on this next possession, Denver will have a chance to take the lead and probably win the game. So CJ comes up with one of the clutchest plays of his career. He told Stotts in the timeout to flatten it out and let him go one-on-one because he would get the team a bucket, and that is exactly what he did, with a very nice pop step back on Torrey Craig, and he knocks it down. So at this point, Portland's up 3 with 11 seconds left, and you're feeling like Portland's either going to win this game or Denver's going to hit a 3 and it's going to go into overtime. Portland just needs a stop, but they do probably the worst thing they could do. They foul Jokic immediately after the ball is thrown in, so Denver still has 11 seconds and they have 2 free throws. However, Jokic does Portland a favor just like he did in game 3, and he misses the first of 2, knocks down the second one, but at this point Portland's up 2. They just need to get fouled and hit free throws. Now this play made me nervous because Torrey Craig almost gets the steal that could have easily been hit through Damian Lillard's hands, and with replay it could have been called out off Damian Lillard, just like it was called out off Jamal Murray in game 3 when CJ knocked it out of his hands. He throws it to Evan Turner, who makes a questionable decision to attack the rim, and I think Millsap could have had a chance to block this shot, but he just decides to wrap him up and foul him. Had Millsap blocked this shot, Denver would have had a chance to tie or win the game, so that play made me very nervous, but it ends up with Evan Turner on the line. All he has to do is hit 2 free throws and you're feeling pretty good if you're Portland. And he knocks them both down. Evan Turner was huge in the 4th quarter in this game, and Portland is up by 4. Denver has no more timeouts left, so they have to hit a 3 here. Jokic shoots a very tough rainbow shot that I had no confidence was going in, but he almost made it. But that miss seals the deal. Evan Turner gets the rebound, dribbles out the clock, and the Portland Trail Blazers are going to the 2019 Western Conference Finals. For years, I've been thinking about how cool it would be to be a legit contender, because I haven't felt like we've been a legit contender. If you make it to the Western Conference Finals, you're a legit contender. You're one step away from being in the NBA Finals. I always wondered what it would feel like, what the experience would be like for Portland to make a run like this. And now it's finally real, and I absolutely love it. I'm so happy for this team. I'm so happy for this fan base, everything that this organization and us fans have been through. You know, Paul Allen passing away before the season, Yusuf Nurkic going down with that leg injury, all that happening after getting swept as the higher seed in the first round last season, and for that to culminate in us playing in the Western Conference Finals. Man, I'm so happy right now. I'm on cloud 9. It's a quick turnaround for the Western Conference Finals. I wish I had more time to preview this and churn out this content, but I don't. Portland plays Game 1 against Golden State on the road 2 days after they played Game 7 in Denver. So they're going to have to try and keep this momentum going and steal one in Oakland. So anyway, that's the Game 7 recap. I hope you enjoyed it. And with all that, I'm out of here. This has been Tori. I hope you true Blazer fans have a good week ahead. Peace out. Go Blazers.